Hey, welcome to the Daily Beard for July 23rd, 2019. I wanted to talk about, well, I didn't know what I wanted to talk about, but there's so many things that I could talk about, but I didn't feel like talking about. So I'm going to talk about something that is a little movie geekish for me, and a little comic book geekish, but okay, here's the thing. Marvel, this week, Avengers Endgame passed Avatar for the highest grossing movie of all time. It did it in like less than half the time. I'm pretty sure less than half the time that Avatar was in like theaters overall to get what it did. And it's an impressive accomplishment. Disney's just printing money. And then they released it's San Diego Comic-Con this week. And San Diego Comic-Con used to be just about comics, and then now it's all about everything, and movies in particular, and a lot of movies and studios release all their big stuff like trailers and stuff at San Diego Comic-Con, and Marvel has owned that weekend for quite a while, and this time they released a whole lot of stuff, and they've got, like, they've already slated up until the next 7 years for their titles. Like, they've reserved dates in theaters up to 7 years away, from what I hear. And they announced like the next 2 years or 3 years almost of films and TV shows that they're going to be doing. And I was watching a bunch of stuff, and like, this is not to bash on Marvel. I like a lot of the Marvel movies, but once upon a time, you made a movie and you tried to make it the best film you could possibly make it, and if there was a sequel that came out of it, it was because it was a well-made movie. And I was listening to a bunch of stuff from Christopher Nolan, who again is my favorite filmmaker. And Christopher Nolan did 3 Batman movies, and a lot of people were saying like, oh, there were always supposed to be 3. No, there wasn't. There was only supposed to be 1. He literally, when he signed on to do Batman, didn't sign on to do sequels. He signed on to do 1 movie, and his idea was, we're going to tell Batman's origin properly, and we're going to do it as best we possibly can and make a really great movie. And if another Batman movie never gets made, he's told a really good Batman story. And he did. Batman Begins is great. And then he teases a little thing at the Joker at the end with a playing card of it. But he literally walked away from that movie with like a hint, but literally with the thought that may be the last Batman movie he makes. They weren't assuming when he finished it and put it in the can and gave it to the studio to do with. He wasn't assuming he was making more. He was like, that may be it. And once upon a time you did that. You made, like, when you made a movie, you didn't plan for the next bunch of movies after that movie. And Marvel has changed that massively. Because now, like, so Iron Man came out and it was good, so they made the Hulk, and then they made Captain America, and then like it was clear they're like, okay, there are people who are enjoying them, so we're gonna hit the timeline and we're gonna build to a specific thing, and which was Infinity War, Endgame, like 22 movies later, right, over 10 years, and that's impressive. But I'll be completely honest, not many of the Marvel movies are great, fantastic, amazing movies. Now, don't get me wrong, some of them are really good. Not one of them holds up to The Dark Knight. Not one of them holds up to Batman Begins, in my opinion. And if you want to say Endgame, well, Endgame holds up really well, but it also has 21 other films propping it up, right? It has all this stuff that's pushed underneath it that is like underpinned it. The Dark Knight had 1 movie, and literally it was like, again, a super well-made film because they thought let's make one good film. And when he made The Dark Knight, he literally thought, I'm making this movie. Wasn't thinking about the next one. Wasn't thinking about sequels. Literally was thinking, let's do this one. And like, that's why there's so much time in between them. There's like 3 or 4 years in between them, because he made another movie in between each one of them. Now you would never think to do that. You're trying to hit where the iron's hot, and you're strike where the iron's hot, and you're planning 7 movies ahead where we're doing this. And when you do that, it doesn't always allow you to have the best film, because you have to set up what's coming 3 movies away. And so the narrative has to be like, this would be a better story, but that can't be the story, because, and this is where the movie Ant-Man was supposed to be made by Edgar Wright. He's one of my favorite directors, and he didn't want to tie it in to the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they literally like, no, it has to be tied in. Like, we need this and this. You need to set up these things for 2 movies down the line. And he was like, I don't want to do that. I want this to be like my movie. You can tie it in after the fact. And they said no, and he said okay, and left. Literally, like, I don't know, they could have fired him, but I'm pretty sure he just left and went, thanks, you can use my script, but I'm done. I'd rather do something else. And he went on and made Baby Driver, which is like 10 times better than Ant-Man. So, there's something to be said for making the best film possible, and then hoping that stuff comes out of that. Marvel's not doing that. Again, they make some really good films. They make some mediocre films. They've made some really mediocre films. Some okay. That was entertaining enough, but not memorable and not great. And like the bar has become like lower and lower and lower of what makes a good movie and stuff. So I'm just saying, there's a time when movies had to be really good to get sequels, or at least, if not really good, make a lot of money. Because there was a bunch of sequels that literally just were made because, oh, that one made money, so let's make a sequel to it, even if there's no story there. But it changed. Marvel changed that. So now everything is cinematic universes. Everything is, how can we tie it? And like, and then they've tried this, like The Mummy, they tried this. They got Tom Cruise, one of the biggest movie stars ever, and thought all they needed was him to tie this, make this whole dark universe thing, and then the movie sucked. Make a really good movie. And I think Marvel's kind of lost that in the individual movies, where it's like they're so concentrating on making the bigger picture that they're missing the tiny details. Even though they're hitting tons of little tiny details, but they all have to be tied in so tightly that they won't allow one film to be just on itself awesome by itself that has no need to be tied in. And it's sad. And a lot of studios are jumping on board with that, and it's sad because you got The Dark Knight because The Batman Begins was amazing, and you got it doesn't happen anymore. So it's just a rant I had in my head, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. Again, not bashing Marvel movies. Like, there's some really good ones, but again, they're not some great ones. There's some ones that are just like, wow, that's a movie. Thor: The Dark World, Guardians 2, Captain Marvel. Like, they're all movies, but they're not up there. So anyway, yeah, that's all I got today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me rant, and God bless. Have a great day.